ice and lemonade. And a little bit of mint. Just a hint of mint. Must be the 1920s.
Whoa.
You can tell what year it is just by...
He's been around.
Oh, yeah?
Or maybe that big vintage car coming up the drive gave it away.
It's supposed to be a party. All this work be the death of you.
Party, eh? All kinds of people are going to show up then.
Trouble is, we haven't been invited. Oh, I forgot.
There you go.
But why didn't they ask? Heavens.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's you. I was just doing a little
Oh,
research.
you're about to die, aren't you?
I say, what are you doing with that lead piping? That's impossible.
Okay. So, there's a party. There's already a murder. And of course, Doctor and Donna are here. So, but that looked like an overgrown bee? Something that just took him out. I mean, I'm assuming he just got murdered. Surely the unicorn and the... Oh, it's a wasp. Not a bee.
We'll be late for cocktails.
Hold on, Doctor.
What do you think? Flapper or slapper?
Flapper, you look lovely.
Must be sure with the unicorn on the loose.
A unicorn? Brilliant. Where?
The unicorn, the jewel thief.
Ah,
Nobody knows who he is.
I like that.
He's just struck again.
Your usual, sir? Ah, thank you, Davenport. Just how I like it.
Yeah.
Her husband has seen a Kirbishley's.
Okay, they're setting up a bunch of...
To meet you at last, my lady.
Is that? It is.
Arnold Golightly.
Ah, Reverend.
I'm liking this. They're setting up a lot of different characters right now, and someone just died.
Some of these young boys deserve a decent thrashing. Couldn't agree more, sir.
Typical. All the decent men are on the
All time, Lord.
Now, my lady, what about this special guest?
A lady who needs no introduction.
No, please.
Who's this? Who's this?
Agatha Christie. What about?
No.
That's me. No. You're kidding.
Agatha Christie. I was just talking
Brilliant.
about her the other day. I said, I bet she's brilliant. I'm the doctor, this is Donna. You fool me every time. Well, almost every time. Well, once or twice. Well,
Okay, Doctor, reel it in.
once, but it was a good one.
You make a rather unusual couple.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no,
we're
no,
not a
we're
couple.
not married.
Well, obviously not. No wedding ring.
Oh,
She doesn't miss it.
And I'd stay that way if I were you. The thrill is in the chase, never in the capture.
Act once, my lady.
The date on this newspaper.
Now then, Agatha's got a mystery to solve from the looks of it.
It's the day Agatha Christie disappeared.
Oh. The Doctor and Agatha and Donna.
But I reckon that's blunt enough.
Ooh.
Come along, do as the doctor says. Leave the room undisturbed.
She picked something up and Doctor noticed.
The murderer's an alien.
Which means one of that lot is an alien in human form.
Yeah, but think about it. There's a murder, a mystery.
And Agatha Christie. Ah, I like the sound of that.
Happens to me all the time.
I mean, that's like meeting Charles Dickens and he's surrounded by ghosts at Christmas.
Well,
Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh, yeah. One of your best.
Not yet. Yeah.
Marvellous idea, though.
Yeah. Tell you what.
Ah.
Copyright Donna Noble.
okay. Solving a murder mystery with Agatha Christie. Brilliant.
How like a man to have fun while there's disaster all around him.
Ooh.
Sorry, yeah.
That takes me
I'll
back.
work with you gladly, but for the sake of justice, not your own amusement.
Tooth and claw, right? Oh.
I was deep in the Ardennes, trying to find Charlemagne.
Is this him and Martha from Blink?
Doctor! As such an experienced detective, you missed a big clue.
What, that bit of paper you nicked out of the fire?
You were looking the other way.
Yeah, but I saw you reflected in the glass of the bookcase.
You crafty man.
What's that first letter, N or M?
It's an M. The word is
Maiden.
Maiden! What does that mean?
But still no further forward.
Felicity Jones. That's the name. Oh. Is she next?
There's nowhere to run. Show yourself!
There you go.
That's just cheating.
No children in this house for years. Highly unlikely there will be.
Cards on the table, woman. You should be helping us.
Now?
I'm merely a writer. If anyone can help us, then it's the doctor, not me.
She'll do something. Ooh.
There you go. You're brilliant.
That's Donna Noble for you. Whoa.
Someone came here tooled up. The sort of stuff a thief would use.
The unicorn.
He's here.
Walnuts! Brilliant. I can't understand you. Milk! No, not milk.
Salt?
Salt! I was miming salty salt. I need something salty. Look, shock. I need a shock.
Right then. Big shock. Coming up.
Oh.
I must do that more often.
I mean, the detox.
Doctor, you are impossible.
I've laced the soup with pepper,
Ah, I thought it was jolly spicy.
but the active ingredient of pepper
Uh-oh.
is piperine, traditionally used as an insecticide.
There you go. Is anyone gonna act up?
Faster.
Oh.
It's gone. Stolen by son. My child.
Oh, face plant right into the soup.
You know about people.
She understands them.
Passions, their hope and despair and anger, all of those.
Miss Redmond.
She had that gun earlier. Oh.
I'm innocent.
You must have heard that Miss Noble was searching the bedroom, so you panicked. You ran upstairs and disposed of the evidence.
I've never seen that thing before.
Could
in
be a
my life.
misdirect.
Or should I say, the unicorn. You came to this house with one sole intention. To steal the Firestone.
Oh, all right then.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
a fair
No
call.
misdirect.
You came home with malaria and confined yourself to this house for 6 months. In a room that has been kept locked ever since, which I rather think means...
Stop, please.
I'm so sorry.
She had a child.
You had fallen pregnant in India.
Ah.
Excuse me, Agatha, this is my territory, but when you heard that buzzing sound in the dining room, you said it can't be.
Oh. Oh.
Why did you say that?
Oh my.
You'd never believe it. He'd made himself human to learn about us. This was his true shape.
Ah, okay.
I loved him so much it didn't matter.
Just like a man. Flashes his family jewels and you end up with a bun in the oven.
A poor little child.
Child. Who's...
She was coming to warn you.
So she killed her. I did
No,
not.
she didn't kill her.
Lady Edison is innocent.
A man in his 40s. Or, should I say, 40 years old.
Oh, there it is.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
There it is.
Lady Edison, your child. You said you were taught by the Christian fathers, meaning
Orphanage.
raised in an orphanage. It beamed your full identity directly into your mind.
Whoa.
And at the same time, it absorbed the works of Agatha Christie directly from Lady Edison.
Whoa.
It all became part of you. Turns out we are in the middle of a murder mystery.
Music.
What are yours, Dame Agatha?
Dave.
Oh,
Not yet.
sorry, not yet.
Here I am. The honey in the trap.
Toss it.
Be Vesper form.
She's controlling it.
Its mind is based on her thought processes. They're linked.
How'd you kill a wasp?
Drown it.
Drown it. Just like his father.
Oh no, that thing couldn't help itself.
Neither could I.
Just one mystery left, Doctor.
You're you.
Who exactly are you?
Oh, it's the Firestone!
Oh. Did she just lose her memory?
Let her go. Right at the end, the Vesper form chose to save someone's life. Oh, of course, the amnesia. Wiped her mind of everything that happened. The Wasp, the murders.
And us. She'll forget us.
Convenient, right?
Yeah, but we've solved another riddle. The mystery of Agatha Christie. No one will ever know. Oh, great life. Met another man, married again. Saw the world. Wrote and wrote and wrote.
She never thought her books were any good, though.
It's C for Cyberman. C for Carrionites.
Carry Knights. Oh.
And look at that.
She did remember.
Somewhere in the back of her mind, it all lingered.
Published in the year... 5 billion.
People never stop reading them.
But she never knew.
Well, no one knows how they're going to be remembered. All we can do is hope for the best. Maybe that's what kept her writing. Same thing keeps me travelling. Onwards?
Yes, please.
Onwards.
Right then, episode 7. Yeah, that was a really nice standalone episode, right? I mean, I'd say that episode probably felt the most detached, perhaps, from season 4, and I don't mean that in like in a negative manner, just in the sense that, yeah, it really felt like one of the most standalone episodes so far. Self-contained story, right? You see just by the end of it, it's wrapped up nicely. So this ended up being season 4's famous author appearance, right? And of course, it's Agatha Christie following Dickens back in series 1, and then Shakespeare in series 3. So yeah, you know, I've maintained since the beginning, since series 1, I love anytime they go to the past, especially if they do run into historical figures or famous, figures from the past, and how they tackle that and the type of story they use, right? Or the type of narrative they use around these famous figures. In fact, there's a great moment during the episode as Donna associates the improbable nature of solving a mystery with Agatha Christie to hanging out with Dickens and a bunch of ghosts at Christmas, right? Yeah. You've got to love how they're referencing stuff that's happened now in this run of the show, right? Like series 1 is old enough at this point that, you know, these kind of references are coming up now. I just love the Doctor's reaction to that. And of course, who better than Agatha Christie to have in a good old whodunit murder mystery at an estate, right? A recent take on this was Knives Out by Rian Johnson. It's a great film. It's great fun. I highly recommend it if you enjoy these types of stories, right? A murder mystery. I mean, a lot of the elements of that film are quite similar to this episode. And, you know, it has a fantastic cast. Michael Shannon, Christopher Plummer, Daniel Craig, Ana de Armas. So, yeah, if you're into that, this type of story, right, a murder mystery, yeah, definitely check out Knives Out. Again, great fun. Much like this episode, right? This episode wasn't really that serious, was it? It had a great fun tone to it. Of course, you know, things got a bit dark. It is a murder mystery after all, but yeah, it had a fun tone for sure. Clearly, it's modeled after Agatha Christie's particular style of mystery, right? And essentially, it's a fun tribute to her style, a pastiche, essentially. And even her disappearance played a part in this plot, right? And, you know, in that sense, that's how the whole, you know, time travel nature kind of lends itself, right? The Doctor and his companion can kind of embed themselves in these mysteries. I mean, let's go down the checklist, right? It's got the garden party, right? All the major players are introduced, or suspects, rather. And then there's a suspect interview sequence, of course, you know. Then there's the dinner party. And then there's the climactic gathering of the suspects, right? For the accusation. I mean, it's a tested and successful formula, right? And then you even have the specific types of characters as well, right? You have a professor, you have a colonel, you have a reverend. And of course, in this type of story, the group dynamic is one of the keys, right? And yeah, I thought it was a fun group dynamic. And, you know, I mentioned Knives Out earlier. Yeah, that's one of the standouts of that film as well, right? The group dynamic, the characters, right? They have to be interesting. In this type of story, they simply have to be interesting, and the audience has to be intrigued by them, right? And their motives, and their pasts, and their secrets. You know, because if there's no interesting characters in this type of story, then the audience just isn't going to care about the outcome, right? Or they're just not going to be invested, right? Into these characters and finding out who it actually was. and hoping who it wasn't, right? That's always one of the fun things about these types of stories, the murder mysteries. But yeah, this episode of Doctor Who had a fun group dynamic. Everyone has their own secrets, right? Their own struggles, of course, keeping up appearances and hiding, a few of those secrets that are, not attached to this murder at all. I love how the Doctor and Agatha Christie's interview sequence, gives us a look into all of the players, backstories to add depth to these characters, so you can have a bit more understanding for the characters. And given the fact that it is a 45-minute or 46-minute episode, it's not always the easiest thing to flesh out a character or, multiple characters in this case. But I thought it did a decent job of that, giving us just enough about each one of these characters and bit about them that isn't really out there, right? The things they keep close to their chest, the secrets, the struggles, right? It really humanized a lot of them, most of them essentially. And even Agatha herself doesn't come into the situation baggage-free, does she? She has her own struggles. She's added tricky and challenging part of her life as well, right? Essentially, I think she was written in a believable manner, rather than this larger-than-life figure, right, from history. Essentially, she was having a crisis of confidence coming into this situation. So yeah, I really like that aspect, how they characterized her in this episode. And there's a lot of great banter and dialogue between her and the Doctor, and on that note, I love the Doctor's fanboy moments. It happens from time to time. It happened with Dickens and Shakespeare, and, it was the same for Agatha Christie, right? He certainly knows his human history, and he certainly has respect for these established and impressive famous figures from human history. Yet, his excitable and fanboy attitude did have Agatha a bit puzzled and appalled, essentially, given the serious nature of the situation at hand. It was actually quite similar to the Queen in Tooth and Claw, right? She kind of had to put them in their place, Rose and Doctor, that is. She did not like this, fun, laissez-faire attitude given the situation at hand, the serious nature of the situation at hand. And you see almost immediately that the Doctor does realize, someone has died. I need to kind of reel it in. And he essentially realizes, and he apologizes almost immediately, right? But again, she doesn't know he's a time traveler and he knows all about her, right? And her greatness. So, he's just like this fanboy, essentially, right? And of course, you cannot forget about Donna Noble. She continues to be charming. She continues to be so fun. And I feel like this episode really allowed Catherine Tate to get that comedy side of her really out there, really put that on display. I loved her interjections and her running commentary in the final, gathering of the suspects and the accusation. Each time Agatha kind of, goes to one individual, you see Donna steps in and she gives her take on it. I thought that was great fun. She certainly brings levity to the situation, doesn't she? And, beyond the comedic aspect of this, of Catherine Tate's acting and Donna's character, that is, she continues to be the heart of the show at this point in time. She's always thinking of others, right? She's always thinking of others' feelings. She's really thinking of how Agatha just didn't know how famous she ended up becoming, how great her writing is, and how celebrated her writing is, right, in the future. You see that kind of thing really lingers in her mind, and of course, there's a really great scene of Donna and Agatha outside. Once again, there's actually a similar scene in Knives Out. Again, I really recommend that film. And of course, there's a great Casino Royale, James Bond-esque moment as, the Doctor is in a frantic state, in a state of panic as he's trying to, and I'm speaking of that kitchen scene as he realizes he's been poisoned. I thought that was such a fun scene. Of course, Tennant, he can do anything. That's established. I keep saying it in every episode at this point. I'm really enjoying this Doctor companion duo. It's such a different dynamic. It's such a fun dynamic, right? So different than the relationships of the past two companions and the Doctor. Now, a few other things of the episode. The unicorn, right? The jewel thief plot. It was certainly interesting in theory, that's for sure. I was quite excited and intrigued by the name drop earlier in the episode as she's explaining to the Doctor and Donna, about this jewel thief, right? But I felt like that aspect didn't quite have that much of an impact on the plot. I mean, it was in the title of the episode, right? So I thought it would be a major plot point, but it was just kind of there. I feel like the unicorn, the jewel thief, young Felicity Jones, she needed a bit more to do in the episode for it to actually, matter to the plot. Especially given the fact that it is part of the title, right? But yeah, I mentioned Felicity Jones. Again, great to see young British actors showing up, and long may it continue. I love seeing young British actors show up on Doctor Who, and I'm sure I'll see plenty more that I recognize, right? I've already established that I love British actors. I respect them so much. I think they're the best in the business. So yeah, always a nice, pleasant surprise to see a familiar face. And have a lot of episodes to get through and enjoy. So I'm sure I'll see a lot of other familiar faces show up down the line as well. Now, during the Reverend's transformation in the church, I heard some familiar music. It immediately reminded me of Professor Yana in Utopia, as he pulls out the watch, right? And Martha is just kind of baffled, in a state of shock as it's all playing out. But I love that particular track. So the music choice for that scene, it was quite interesting, I thought. And of course, just like in that episode in Utopia, there's an imminent transformation essentially. And again, in this episode, the Reverend is about to transform imminently, right? In that flashback, at least, in the church. And they use the same music. I love it. I just love it. One of the running themes of this season has been reproductive ethics. You have the adipose fat babies in episode 1, right? Then you have the Sontarans, and they wanted to breed an entire army on Earth, right? Use Earth as a factory, essentially. And even the Doctor ended up progenerating a daughter in the last episode, right? And then, of course, this episode has some interspecies reproduction going on, right? And I think that's about it. Actually, there's another great moment of bit of a Easter egg or reference moment at the end as he opens up this chest of references at the end there to pull out the book, right? To pull out a copy of Agatha's book. They show me Cybermen. It's some sort of plate from the Cybermen. They show me the Carrionites that he trapped from Shakespeare's Code. And then there was some sort of statue. I'm not entirely sure about that one. Maybe you guys can tell me about that one. I'm just kind of drawing a blank. And also there's a, quick flashback. The Doctor in the hot seat as he's having his own flashback to Belgium. And that immediately reminded me of the Doctor and Martha in Blink as they show up near the conclusion of the episode. But yeah, that's about it for this episode. Fun little episode, fun standalone story, self-contained story. I just realized episode 8 is next. So this series is just kind of flying by, honestly. I'm already this far into it. So that's kind of a bittersweet thought, actually, that I'm flying past it. And yeah, episodes 8 and 9, it's getting there now, near the conclusion of the series. And around this time, the series tends to kind of really ramp it up, right? Right then, so if you enjoyed it, please consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. As always, a pleasant experience to hear from you, the Doctor Who fans, the supporters, and I recognize all the regulars. I see the names, I have a decent memory, and I remember names, and I remember, profile pictures. So yeah, it's always nice to see the regulars show up in the comment section as well, and of course, any newcomers to my content. And if you're not subscribed and you really do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Consider sharing these with other Doctor Who fans. If you're interested in early access to the next episode, or perhaps even full length to this episode, consider checking out the Patreon page. Right then, I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for your time, and I hope to see you again soon. So until then, take it easy.